men using the cave to get away from their responsibilities. Naked women or confronting my deepest fears, that's not a very difficult decision.
We have that lack of suffering. Instead, we've got like immeasurable comfort and boredom. It is dark. It is really scary to face your shit. Gotta go into the cave. The whole world feels different because, all right, welcome, Nate.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I'm gonna dive straight in because I got you on the podcast because of your brilliant Substack. And there was a post. Now, I had to sign up for a Substack just to get this post. It made me have to create an account, and that's what I did it for. It's called The Blue Light Cave, and I thought a wonderful way to start this episode, if you don't mind, is I'm going to read the first part of what you wrote. Because I think it's fantastic. So it's called The Blue Light Cave, the secret addiction that's stealing men's masculinity. We all know about the cave. It's the place where men have gone for centuries. We go there when we're upset, sad, lost, hurt, afraid. Basically whenever we're feeling something challenging. And there's nothing wrong with the cave. It's a temple of sorts where men enter burdened and come back miraculously adjusted. For some men, the cave is a physical location. For others, it's just a state of being they enter and exit as needed. Regardless, these hypothetical caves have played a key role for men, their emotions, and their growth since the beginning of time. However, I'm concerned that men aren't getting from the cave what they used to. They're still going in, but when they come out, they're still frustrated, resentful, and tired. They're not coming out because they're done. Rather, they seem to begrudgingly come out of the cave simply because time's up, and non-cave things are demanding their attention. The place that used to produce fresh perspectives and renewed commitment seems to be broken. So that's just the first section of your wonderful cave. I think every man can relate to the cave, but I would love for you to sum up what is happening to men instead of them getting that perspective from going to that cave. What's happening nowadays?
Yeah, well, going into the cave, even though it's something that we do almost instinctively, it's not a fun thing. We go there when we're feeling something challenging. And at that moment, when we're in that cave, if we're allowed any alternative option, we're going to take it. Anything is better than the pain that awaits in the cave. I think we almost see men using the cave nowadays to just get away from their wife, get away from their kids, get away from their responsibilities. Where the cave used to be a place where it was almost like life would force your hand as a man. So much overwhelm, so much anger, so much loss, that retreat into solitude was almost, forced upon you by the circumstances of life. And you'd go into that cave and face kind of the horrors of your own thoughts or the depths of your own sorrow and really interact with yourself in a painful and transformative way. But if men are in that place and someone says, hey, want to just play a game instead? Oh my gosh, they're going to take that 10 out of 10 times. If you give me an option between looking at naked women or confronting my deepest fears, that's not a very difficult decision to make in a weak moment, right? And so, yeah, the article dives into so many opportunities inside the cave, whether it's video games, porn, doom scrolling, day trading, right? Whatever we're doing when we're alone is distracting us from ourselves. It's a more compelling option. And I think we're suffering because of that.
How'd you learn about it? How'd you come up with the idea that it was a cave rather than anything else?
I think the cave is just something like, maybe it's just a word I've heard through life, right? Like you don't hear of woman caves. You hear of man caves, right? Like a man builds his dream house and he has a man cave. And I don't know how far back the use of that word in association with men goes. Maybe it does go all the way back to when we actually did just
Cavemen.
walk into a cave. Yeah, like I'm gonna get out of here and find a cave. But as far as the word goes, I'm unsure. But as far as the concept goes, early 20s, dealing with crippling anxiety, debilitating depression, and not the kind that you would know, right? Like externally, you'd think, oh, that guy's doing great. You know, he's having a great life. And it was really good coaches and therapists who brought me into proximity with myself. Those sessions were almost like an artificial cave where the therapist allowed me to be with myself in an undistracted way. And that's where I began to heal, you know, through those painful cave-esque confrontations.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And what do we do about this cave situation? You know, it's very interesting because I felt parallels with your Substack and something that I remember writing a while back. Like I remember reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And you know how he talks about those three modes of purpose, right? We've got the mode of purpose, which is where you can create something, right? It's like a man will go and create, it'll like, I've got something to do in this world. That's a mode of purpose. And then the next mode of purpose would have been like experience, to love, to travel the world. This is experiential. And then the final mode he had, which was to suffer through immeasurable pain or suffering, you know, to find purpose through immeasurable suffering. And that's all very well and good when you're in World War II. But I honestly believe that we're in a, and so let's stop there for a second, because I believe the cave would have been in World War II would have been like that mind of like, can I survive this? Can I truly face the dark and terror here? Can I stay? Can I endure? Whereas today we have that lack of suffering, and instead we've got like immeasurable comfort and boredom. And it's almost like we have to fabricate suffering in order to have something to go to the cave to that's not pleasurable.
Yeah, like anything other than suffering is a better option than suffering. I mean, it's just, and I think, you know, we could get into a whole tangent, which we won't, about how maybe companies have monetized the cave, right? They go, ooh, you know, there's a lot of pain in this area, and marketing is solving pain points, right? So how can we just, you know, solve the pain? And unfortunately, you know, if you and I were to market our services as, you know, we'll help you go into the deepest, most uncomfortable moments of your entire life, that wouldn't work well. And so marketing that says, hey, never feel pain, just sells like hotcakes.
Yeah, like Alex Hormozi has it in his book, $100 Million Offers. He talks about like, if you want to sell something, you got to have like the likelihood of achievement, and it's all about the dream outcome and all of this. And how would you sell like peace to somebody? Well, you could tell them they can meditate every single day for their life, and that is the most ultimate way of doing it. Or you can say, here's a pill of Valium, and they're going to buy the Valium because it's like, it's quick. I don't have to do it. I don't have to change it.
And the Valium is only getting better, because now it's Valium that knows their name and is customized to know all of their interests, because it's listening to their conversations and it's taking its clothes off, and there's just, I mean, it's getting better and better and better.
It's taking its clothes. I love that. I love it. I'm an eternal optimist with this. I'm gonna, you know, out myself as an eternal optimist. I don't seem like it, but I truly believe, and I hope for humanity here. But I know it because I feel it within myself, and I trust that I'm more alike to people than you know, disalike or unalike or whatever the right word is. I know that like with this pull towards all the algorithms, machine work, and the loss of face and customization of our caves and all of this, I feel like there is a counterpull to humanity, to community, to trying to find purpose through confidence and strength. And I understand that there's a whole swathe of the public going one way, but I do believe that there will be a pullback, because I think that that's within our human nature. Collectively, as a species, we feel like, shit, we need community. Shit, we need the outside. Shit, we need this. And I only think that there's only so far that we can stretch the rubber band before it comes back. Let's take a quick break. If you're listening to this podcast because things have been rough at home, the fights, the tone, the distance between you and your wife, well, then maybe you need to know something. The Better Husband Academy is officially open. It's a 70-day program where I teach you exactly how to stop the same arguments, drop defensiveness, repair resentment, and actually show up as a man that you and your wife respect again. These are real tools, the stuff that actually works with you and your wife in real time, in real life, not just years of talking in therapy in circles. The Academy doors are open for 1 month, and this is the only way to work with me for a long time. And once the doors close, they close, and I go all in with the men inside. So if you want to change things at home, join the Better Husband Academy now.
I totally agree. I think what's going to happen is, and in the article I kind of create this imagery of the women and the children waiting outside the cave, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what's going to happen is these men are going to keep coming out of that cave just as exhausted, just as resentful, just as burdened. And at some point, it's human nature to go, this shit's not working. Mm-hmm. I'm tired when I go to my family. I'm tired when I go in the cave. I'm tired when I play video games. I'm tired at work. I never feel good. And that's when, I think I do have faith in men. I have faith in humanity that they'll go, something needs to change. I need to find a different cave. This one's too crowded. And after just a few experiences, they're going to come out and their wife's going to make a comment about how they seem much more grounded. And their kids are going to, laugh a little harder and be grateful that dad feels a little bit more alive. And they're going to go, you know what? That cave, the first cave, that was killing me. That cave was killing me. And this new cave is giving me my dream life.
Looked pretty, but tasted terrible.
Yeah.
And it didn't fulfill me at all. And then the other one is it looks terrible, but it tastes amazing. It's like this. Yeah.
And I think as you get into any form of improvement, you start to develop a palate, I'd say, to almost detect that flavor. It's like how running and salads and books are all kind of the same in the sense that it's like, oh, well, that's not like what I'd love to do with my time. And then you do it and you're like, wow, I feel so good, right? It's the cold plunge. It's the therapy appointment. There's this flavor of these things that they are difficult, but the return on investment is so much greater than the things that are just delicious and make you feel horrible when you're done.
100%. I mean, I still remember one of my biggest memories of full gratitude was when I ran my first marathon, I was not a fit person. I'd gone from couch to marathon in 12 weeks. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this. And I tried it. And I was one of the last people at the end of this marathon. I did not do well. It was only a 20-person marathon in a random bumfuck area in Australia called, where there was only 20 people running in a marathon. And at some point, a 96-year-old man overtook me and told me, "You're doing very well." And I was like, oh, God. But I got to the end of that thing, and it was 5 hours and 25 minutes. And I was like, this lady put this medal on me. Everyone wanted to go home.
There's still someone out there?
There were two people after me, but I think they canceled. They just stopped and somebody went and picked them up. So I was the last one who actually finished it. And I think they said that they were going to cut off the finish line at 5 hours and 30 minutes. So I just made it in. But she put this medal on me, and I had such a strong, immense sense of gratitude. I think there's still a video of me that I had on one of the vlogs that I was making at the time, where I just was like, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just remember feeling like, I fucking did it. I did it. And I think that's what I see men doing here is this, when you shift that identity, it's not even just the flavor of the things you're trying. It's I think that trying that terrible flavor of numbing yourself over and over again gives you this identity that you can't be a person that does these good things. And then the first moment where you change that, the first moment where you go, I can, you're like, oh my God, the whole world looks different. The whole world feels different because I am different.
Yeah. I've been sharing this idea lately that there's there's two ways to have the best cup of coffee in the world. The first way is to be insanely rich and travel to the, beautiful destination and pay the ridiculous price for the best cup of coffee in the world. And the other way is to get stuck camping in the cold, freeze your ass off, to have it take longer than you thought, think you're gonna die, and then you make it to the gas station for a 90-cent cup of coffee. Those are the two ways to have the best cup of coffee in the world. And what I'm talking about here is the difference between the epitome of everything versus the contrast to nothing. And when we as men just have everything all the time, we're always gonna want a hotter wife, a better job, better looking clothes, a funnier friend. It'll never be enough. But if we allow ourselves the moments of the marathon, like you just described, that's the way to make your wife the greatest partner in the world, or your friend the best friend in the world. It's these natural up and down cycles that we're numbing ourselves out from. And yeah, like I would say, to put it simply for listeners, if I had to recommend one thing, if someone said, I want to become more manly, I know that your origin story you had with your wife being like, I need you to be more manly. If somebody wanted a practical tip, okay, you want to become more manly, you want to become stronger, you want to become more adept, more present, more grounded, more capable, be less distracted. Go be less distracted. In every moment, notice where your focus is, be less distracted, and you will quickly just confront the realities of life you've been distracting you from. They're going to take you way down, and when you come back up, it'll be the best cup of coffee you ever had.
Yeah, because it is a cave. It is dark, and it is scary to face your shit. It is really scary to face your shit. I was telling you just before we started, my wife got a yoga teacher training, and it's one of the things that we're going to be doing she's going to come in on the Better Husband retreat one day, and she's going to do specifically a type of yin yoga with men. And people will be like, oh, why yin yoga? Isn't that the feminine side, not the masculine side? Well, it's like, yeah, because I think there's some deep things that we don't face emotionally. And when you get put in positions and you have to sit there for 5 minutes and it's really freaking uncomfortable, parts of you that you didn't even know that you had start coming out.
Because you're less distracted.
And they come out in force, and they are not pretty. They're not pretty.
It genuinely is, and I don't mean to be oversimplistic. You can pay a few $100 for a great therapy session, or you could sit still, stare at a wall, and do it every day, for an hour. Start with 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Just like yin yoga, in the absence of distraction, this self-healing mechanism that is your body is going to start to surface everything that's between you and healthy. And it's going to give you a chance to feel it, to process it, to think about it. That's the medicating quality of the cave. And you can come out a full new man. You can come out of that yin yoga session like you did, before we started the podcast, you talked about doing some yin yoga last night and waking up with some anger this morning. And we could have a whole conversation about how men through time have channeled anger to accomplish incredible things. And a few angry men have ruined it for the rest of us.
Well, even if we go to the natural conclusion of that anger and what does that produce, because some people might go, but Alessandro, you do some yin yoga last night and now you're angry the next morning. What good is that? Well, that anger was very interesting for me because also at lunchtime, I actually had a realization about myself. I was like, oh, I actually procrastinate until the last minute because that's how I've just done things my whole life. But then the problem is, and what's happening is the moment I get to this point where I have to do it in the last minute, it's like a shot of adrenaline and everything goes out of whack in my life. And rather than confronting that and changing what it is about me and actually building a new tolerance or muscle to work consistently when their periods are not in stress, I will just go with my same pattern. And so that I feel like this, and I would love to ask you if you believe this too, but I feel like when you do have these moments where you sit and stare at a wall for 5 minutes and an emotion comes up, that emotion does give you knowledge about yourself. And that knowledge about yourself is the way that we move forward. Like that's the path. Each person has their path within.
I would fully agree with you and say, and that is a skill, right? Because sometimes men will stare at the wall, they'll pick up the phone, the emotional phone, and the voice on the other end of the line is speaking a language they don't understand. So I go, oh, you stared at the wall for 10 minutes. What was it like? I don't know. I hated it. I didn't feel good, right? And obviously
And so
their
I
body
avoided it for another 25 years.
Yes, and I'm never doing that shit again. And
I
so
tried
I think,
it once, it was shit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think if I were to say, if someone were to say, okay, Nate, you're talking yourself out of a job. You're telling people they can stare at a wall and save all their money. And what I would say is where I have benefited the most from a guide or a coach or a therapist is someone helping me understand what it is that's coming up.
Yeah, we are interpreters. And the thing is, the reason why people come to us is because they cannot, like you said, they don't understand the language that's on the other side of the phone. And often, when you do speak to an interpreter, you start learning the language. And eventually you don't have to pay them. But at first, the first time, you're like, this is gibberish, and I need to know what that is. And
Yes.
and like, I think also people don't know the difference between like suffering, abuse, and whether it's a good or a bad thing. They don't actually know like if they're going to go down that route. They've been told that going too much of that might lead to depression, might lead to this, might lead to that. And so they might be terrified of staring at the wall because they might think, does this mean I become psychotic? Like how do I manage this? And that's why I think there are shamans in this world, of modern shamans, which are literally just people that understand people that help you through these processes of self-discovery.
Yeah, like almost like someone that finds you in the cave and in a few words just kind of helps reflect back to you what's going on. And yeah, I think that guidance is just invaluable. And most of our emotional, this is what I learned, in my master's program that I dropped out of to become a therapist, but they talked a lot about child development. And I learned that emotional development can be arrested in the sense that it stops, and until certain milestones are crossed, it won't progress. And so we have a bunch of, like I think about, I had a playlist in high school, and I listened to it when I was really sad. And the name of the playlist was It's Raining in My Brain. That was the level of like language I had. My emotional development was so behind that I wasn't even able to identify that I was just sad. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s and I'm at a doctor's appointment, I say, yeah, I cried maybe like most nights in high school. And they're like, wait, say that again? They go, that's so normal. And so I think as men, we've got sort of this, we're a little bit behind emotionally. And so this language is speaking, and we're like, what's it saying, what's it saying, what's it saying? And to just have someone, I've got a 2-year-old son, and I say, touch your nose, and he does this. And I say, touch your ears, and he does this. And with adult men, I go, okay, touch the sadness. I go, well, it's somewhere in here. Okay, let's get into the body. Let's get some awareness. And we find it's right here in your stomach, right? And it sounds like this. It feels like this. And it's just a language that, again, to your point, Alessandro, once you learn, you've learned. And I believe in firing your therapist for good at some point.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I literally say to people, if I'm working with you in 6 months' time, it's not well. Like, there's something wrong.
Yeah, my job is to get fired.
Well, to have people move through, and I think different people at different stages, and there are different stages, like I still talk to people at different times. Like I hire people who are higher than me all the time because it's that understanding of I want to go somewhere. And if I want to go somewhere, I need to be able to learn this. I think one of the difficulties is actually even realizing in the first place that you need to go somewhere, that you even need to grow. There's an inherent need to speak, or just to find peace or stability, or keep everything the same.
Yeah, well, you had this experience just last night where you do this yin yoga. It brings up this emotion. you sit with the emotion and you go, I'm a little frustrated with the way I handle deadlines. And I don't know this about you, but my assumption would be you didn't spiral into shame, because that would be pointless. You didn't spiral into self-hatred, because that would be pointless. But that frustration, being fully undistracted from it, of course you're going to change something. You know, of course you're going to go, there's this part of me that I'm tired of, and I'm going to do things differently. But you'll never get that moment unless you're sitting with it in the cave, right? Because if the second you get frustrated, you can just plug into some blue light screen and forget about it. You'll never kind of get frustrated with yourself.
Exactly. Cave, man. Go into the cave.
Yeah. Unplug everything. Flip the switch.
I really think we've got to stay with the cave. It's so fucking good. How does somebody know when they're like, something is a cave thing versus not a cave thing? Is it every time somebody's alone?
I think that the best way to notice is just when you reach for distraction. Because when you reach for distraction, there's something you're not wanting to sit with. And if you can learn to just sit with, everything that you're unwilling to sit with has something to tell you about you. And if you're willing to learn everything that there is to know about you, that's an increase in awareness. It's an increase in consciousness, we could say. You live a better life. I'll give a quick example. I talked to you a little bit about this, Alessandro, but I went through a separation earlier this year. And last night I'm with my family. We're celebrating the holiday, and we start to watch a movie together. And we're watching it's a romantic kind of chick flick movie with these like perfect scenes of perfect romance. And I noticed myself pull out my phone in the middle of the movie and to scroll or do whatever. And I thought, this is interesting. Like, is this movie not entertaining enough? I need two screens to be happy. And so I kind of got present with myself and thought, okay, I'm trying to distract myself from something. What is it? Now, in the beginning, this process would have probably taken some hours because my awareness was low, my emotional development was handicapped. But with where I'm at now, learning that language, just like becoming more and more fluent, I noticed really quickly, like, oh, this is making me sad. This is just making me sad. And if I sit with this sadness, when I'm in opportunities to meet a new partner, I will be engaged, I will be present, I'll be passionate, I'll be driven, I'll be my best self. But if I keep scrolling right now, I'm just going to distract myself from this sadness, and I'm never going to realize how sad I am that I'm alone and don't have a partner. And if I never realize how sad I am when I'm in those situations when I could change my circumstances, I'm not going to make the most of them. I'm going to be kind of not present, kind of checked out. They're going to come and go, and then I'm going to blame the whole world that I'm not getting what I want in life. And so that's just a little example of, when it's time to distract yourself. I'm not saying don't ever distract yourself. I don't know if taking life raw all the time is the best move for everybody. I'm not there.
An attainable move for everybody. It's not attainable for anybody, essentially.
Yeah. We're all taking the edge off in different ways. But I think the difference is, can you be mindful of it? Can you know when you're doing it? Let's say I turn on that phone last night. I do the same thing, I get presence, and I realize there is a sadness inside of me that feels like a big black ocean. And I think if I get in it, I'll drown and never come out. Well, this is Thanksgiving with my family. Maybe not the night for me to explore the depth of that. And maybe I do choose to keep scrolling due to time and place. Maybe I consciously, intentionally choose to do that. I would hope at some point, though, to carve out the time to go into the cave, unplug the screen, and just fully sit with the loneliness, the sadness, the frustration with how hard partnership is. And again, I think it would transform me.
Exactly. I think there's a couple of things. Like, number one, I think it's a lot of the archetypes or stories or things that any coach, any therapist, or anyone's going to use, they're models of an ideal, not necessarily a rigid form where you're either this or that. The thing is, I believe, like, even, if you go into my line of thinking, when we start talking about boy to man and we go along, a boy to man model, this is not like I'm always a boy and I'm always a man. We can always show behaviors of either at any point. And I believe that the road forward is literally to live an examined life where we start, whatever model we use, we start just creating some sense of integrity of trying to push ourselves forward within growth to make sure that we're moving towards something of growth that we believe in. And that's, it can be my model, it can be somebody else's model, it can be anyone in this world's model. It's individual to each person. But I think the moment we are not striving towards some kind of ideal for our own selves, that's when we probably start going into the cave a little longer and start getting distracted in that cave a little longer.
Yeah, because what you're talking about, and this is so beautiful of you to say, Alessandro, because I think it's so open-minded, but true, is you're kind of saying, pick your model, pick something, pick a path of growth, whether it's a 3 months to get a six-pack program or a 3 months to overcome your father wound program or boy to man or man to boy or whatever, because the second you start, you're paying attention.
Mm-hmm. If you're listening to the show, you're already asking the right question. How do I show up better? Maybe things feel harder than they should at home. Maybe you know something needs to shift, but you're just not sure where to start. Here's what I know. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you just never got the manual. Nobody teaches men how to be husbands. Nobody shows you how to navigate the hard conversations, regulate your emotions, or turn your marriage into an actual team. That's why I created Better Husband in 2-Minute Emails. It's one email every Saturday morning with one tool you can use that week. There's no therapy speak, no blame, just the skills that actually move the needle. 2 minutes, one Saturday morning, that's your entry point. Because 3 months of focused work beats 20 years repeating the same damn pattern. Links in the show notes. First email lands this Saturday.
And when you're paying attention, you're not distracted. Mm-hmm. And so you might pay attention and realize that the six-pack program isn't what you need, and you need to go to Alessandro's retreat next spring. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make the program you started the wrong program. You just started paying attention. And once you started paying attention, you were able to figure things out. And
you figure out exactly what you do want. And this is the beautiful thing. And it's why most of the time I wear a t-shirt saying the path is within. Every single one of us has our own fucking blueprint of how life should be. And we gravitate or move away from people based on it, if we're connected to it. And I think the biggest reason we get burnout, we get disconnected, is because we're not listening to our path, we're listening to the world of shoulds, the world of made up stories of parents, of this, of that, and we start going towards this ideal and that ideal, and we're like, I just feel so empty. But that emptiness just comes from literally never having, like you said, paying attention to what your fucking path is.
Right. Because if, the darkness of the cave provides solitude, mm-hmm. where you can begin to make contact to that blueprint within. Mm-hmm. But if there's always something outside of you talking to you, mm-hmm. you'll never get in any sort of proximity with that inner blueprint. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I 100% believe that.
I love that. It's like Alan Watts, who talks about this as one of his speeches that you hear redubbed over and over again with different YouTubers putting different whatever fucking sounds underneath it to try and make it their own and cash in views. But nonetheless, whenever I hear it, I always digest it. But he says something along the lines of, we only talk so that we can avoid thinking, and we only avoid thinking so that we can avoid growing. And we can only grow in the fact when we're not talking or not thinking. Wow. And I fucking love it. I love it. And it's so true. And you notice it. You notice the person who just talks all the time, right? he's like one layer behind the person who just thinks all the time. And the person who always thinks all the time is one layer behind the person who actively tries to quiet his mind.
Yeah, and to just feel. And it's funny because we kind of talked about this earlier, but this idea that if it feels bad, it must not be good. Like all the time, someone will say like, oh, Nate, I started meditating, but I just can't do it right. And I go, what do you mean you can't do it right? And they say, well, every time I do it, I just get more anxious. I'm like, well, that's a successful meditation. Meditation is you, instead of camping in your front yard or living on your porch, you're opening your front door, you're going inside your own house. And if your house is on fire, that's not going to be pleasant, but it's good to know. Because once you become conscious of the fact that your house is on fire, and you choose that you will not distract yourself from that fact, the natural, instinctive course of action is to get some water, to get a bucket of water and start putting it out. And I think like, yeah, getting present, closing your eyes, allowing all that pain and discomfort to come up, that kind of what Alan Watts is talking about. Stop talking, stop thinking, and you just be with it. It sort of shapes you. And there's so many beautiful symbols of this. If I can just keep monologuing for a second. When my wife and I decided to do our separation earlier this year, it was a decision we talked about for a while, and there wasn't anger. It wasn't very combative or argumentative, and we made the decision. And I remember having the thought, I want to feel this fully. I want to feel every ounce of this decision so that it can shape and change the person that I am. And I chose for 30 days to not scroll, to not watch movies, shows, to not play video games. And for a month, I just sat with the darkness. And I think I cried pretty hard every day. And not because I regretted it, but because it was sad. And it had something to teach me. And just like a seed, if a seed is willing to get pushed down a dark hole and be completely alone in darkness, and it's willing to break and crack, it can become a plant or a tree or something. Or a caterpillar, if it's willing to go into this dark hole and just, it can be reborn. And to give kind of a testimony to that experience, me and my former partner constantly get feedback from other people saying, you guys have handled this better than I've ever seen any couple handle a separation ever before. You guys seem so at peace, so present, so capable, so kind and communicative. And my answer to that is, it's because I'm not running from anything. I felt it fully. She felt it fully. We were present with it. And so we're not going to have to carry this pain for years that makes us make snarky comments to each other or avoid each other. We allowed ourselves to get put into that dark, lonely place, and we both came out transformed. And so there is value to sitting with your pain, taking it straight, no chaser. It can change you. It can transform you.
It can, and I'll speak to that. I love that. Great approach. And actually, I actually, weirdly enough, experienced something similar to when my father passed. But interestingly enough, and I'll say it, that pain can't, and just to speak not necessarily to you here, but to anyone who's listening, I guess, as well, as much as we can get through it, it's also going to come up in other areas of our lives too, later on. Like you might even, Nate, feel like in 10 years' time, you're like, shit, I just miss her today. And then all of a sudden it comes back up and you're like, I thought I dealt with this. Yeah. You're like, fuck, I had this is my exact experience. I was like, I grieved my father for like 6 months. I wrote every grief song in the book. I transmuted my grief. And then later on, I was just like, fuck, it's still here. But
Yeah.
it does, and it comes up. And I think what we're talking about here is we're talking about, to some degree, there is pain that you do have to just sit through. There is pain that if you avoid, it will get worse. And it is that I love that analogy of the house will get on fire. And you can never think that you're above a house getting on fire because it will catch fire when you're not looking or when you're too confident or when you leave too many stoves on. But I think the beautiful part of it is I think that's the process of being human.
Yeah, I always tell people, this journey, whether, I don't know if we call it mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever resonates.
Or all three.
Or all three. It's not a problem to be solved. Mm-hmm. It's a garden to be tended to. Mm. Now, if the garden hasn't been tended to in 30 years, the first bit's going to be intense. We're bringing out weed whackers. We're calling for help, probably. And it's going to be long days, and it's going to be sweaty and frustrating, and you're going to get some blisters and curse at the sky, and it's going to be tough. And once you get through all of that and really clear the garden and learn really good gardener skills, you're just weeding. For the rest of your life, you're just weeding, just taking care. It's closing your eyes at the end of the day, going inside your house and going, oh, look, there's some resentment from this morning I hadn't yet noticed. And I notice it now. And I actually, before I need to go to bed, I need to go talk to my partner. And I'm going to take this weed out because I want to keep my garden clean because I remember what it was like when I stopped paying attention in my life and everything got out of control.
It's really beautiful. I love that. I really love that. It really is just weeding. And I would almost then go like, what would it take for you to fall in love with being somebody who weeds? Yeah. That's what life is. We can't change that aspect of it. Can't change this aspect. We have to come to terms with that. And I think the moment we don't come to terms with that, it'll bite us in the ass again. And then you'll feel it, and you'll feel the weight of expectation of, I don't want my life to be this way. And
yeah, it's just weeding. And I think sometimes there is pressure for people to act as if their garden doesn't grow weeds. And it just does.
Well, yeah, I mean, ironically, it's so funny because we spoke about this in yoga last night. We spoke about me getting angry this morning and this. And ironically, I put a post up last night. I did like a post about, your wife's tone or something like this. And I was particularly racy on the hook on this one. And, and gosh, got some hate comments this morning come through from it.
Oh, man.
And, like real. I haven't actually been called a mongoloid yet on my account, but this morning I was. So I saw a lot of these hate comments come in, but it was about my wife's tone. And this morning, I was very, stretched thin. I had shitloads of deadlines to do. Cleaner was here in the house. The dog had diarrhea again twice this morning. This dog and diarrhea. We've been back and forth with the vet so many times. And then I consciously put my clothing ready before my cupboard last night because I was very tired after a long day yesterday. And then still when my wife with a tone says to me, "Why haven't you put your clothing away?" Still, it's ironic that this reel that I put out of that then come and test me. Test me. It's do you truly believe what you say here? Do you truly act in the way that, you don't, it's not about the tone? And I had to almost stop and laugh at the ferociousness of the weed growing back. It's almost like the weed comes, you plant something and you go, I don't want any weeds. And the moment you're like, I'm good, a weed will come back and it'll test you. And I think that's life and wife. They test you in this way and goes, are you really of integrity to your word and to what you say and to what you want? Do you really want this? And I think we, as men specifically, have to pass that integrity test then and there. Yeah. And if we don't, it'll keep biting us back in the ass until we do.
Yeah, the second you get cocky, you stop paying attention. Distracted by your own vanity in many ways. And to just be a student is to always be paying attention. And to do exactly what you did and go, oh, look at that. I'm paying attention and I noticed. I posted about this last night and it's happening right now. And I can either live out of integrity with the message I put online, which I'm going to have to then go numb out in the cave from because I don't like the feeling of being,
You're fucking right with that.
or knowing that there aren't any games in the cave to distract me and that this will bite me in the ass later if I pretend to be someone I'm not, or I can just stay in alignment right now and go, and that doesn't happen unless you're paying attention. And of course, you're not going to be paying attention if distraction is your lifestyle. And I think that's just beautiful. And obviously, Alessandro, I'm grateful, and it's just an honor to be in proximity with a coach who can talk about his struggles openly, because we need that.
I appreciate you and feel the same way with you as well. I think it's been beautiful, and I've loved how we've dissected the cave. It was brilliant, and I can't wait until we have another conversation. I think we're going to have to do that at some point next year.
I'd love to. It's been really good chatting with you, and just stoked for all the work that you're doing and how you're helping men focus and pay attention. And whether it's their path or not, paying attention will get them on their path. And I think you do a really good job at that.
Cheers, man. And I know that you are working in men's circles. I know that you're also working with your own thing. How can people work with you? And what's the thing you're most excited about what you're doing right now?
I have found that one of the best ways to get men into the cave is to go with someone else, or even a group. Because in a group, it gets, one, safer to be in the cave. So what that looks like is a man will say something like, I noticed myself getting frustrated with my wife's tone yesterday, and it caused me to shut down. And another man can go, I can step into that cave with you. I'm that same way. Whereas in the absence of that person saying that, that's a cave they never want to walk into. And so I have found men's groups this year in 2025 to just be brutally effective at helping men get in the cave, get to what's happening. And so what I've been really excited about this year is at the beginning of the year, it was a really high ticket offer to join like a men's group. And as the year went on, it changed in my heart and in my mind what I wanted out of that. And I changed it to just being very low ticket, just wanting to create a space where guys can come, they can meet with other men, they get my one-on-one support and a full curriculum in their own time to learn these skills. And I just think it's a very abundant, generous offering. I almost think men's groups should be like a human right for men, like everyone should have one. Get their garden under control, learn the garden skills. And so this year, doing those men's groups has just been really exciting. I switched it to a very low ticket offer about 2 months ago, and it's just been fun getting more guys in the cave.
Incredible. We'll put the links to your cave below.
Awesome.
All right, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, good luck with everything you got going on.
That's the episode. That's all I got for you today. I just want you to remember you're not alone in this. Make sure you subscribe to stay connected, of course, and comment your win, because every time a man sees other men winning, they don't feel alone anymore, and I love that. Tools are in the show notes, starting with the Better Husband in 2-minute emails. Let's build this together. I'll see you next week.